respect isn't given just because you're kind, beautiful, or accommodating. It's earned by how you carry yourself. And here's the thing, men don't just respect women for what they say, they respect them for what they consistently do. There are 4 rules that, when you live by them, will make any man look at you with a deeper admiration than words can express. And these rules, they're not about being nice or perfect. They're about standing in your own power without losing your grace. Let me tell you something that will save you a lot of pain and earn you more respect than any appearance, compliment, or romantic gesture ever could. Boundaries are not optional. They are the invisible lines that define who you are, what you value, and how you expect to be treated. And here's the thing. Once you set them, you don't debate them, you don't justify them, and you don't keep moving them to make someone else comfortable. Boundaries are not there to make you harder to love. They're there to filter out the people who don't know how to love you right. Most people think boundaries are about pushing people away. They're not. They're about keeping the wrong energy out so the right people can get closer. And men who are worth your time, will never be offended by your boundaries. In fact, they will be drawn to them. Because boundaries communicate something loud and clear without you ever raising your voice. I know my worth, and I will not negotiate it. Now, here's the truth. If someone feels like they can test you, they will. If they think they can get away with late night texts with no follow-up, canceled plans without apology, disappearing for days, and coming back like nothing happened, they will try it. And if you let it slide once, you've just trained them that your boundaries are flexible. The moment you make your limits optional, you've told them they can treat you however they want, and you'll still be there. That's not strength. That's giving away your power. Boundaries are not about how loudly you can say no. They're about the quiet, steady way you protect your time, your energy, and your emotional space. They're about choosing not to answer that text right away if someone has been inconsistent. They're about telling someone calmly, "This doesn't work for me," and not explaining for 20 minutes why. They're about walking away from situations that drain you without trying to convince anyone why you deserve better. When you enforce your boundaries, you are going to make some people uncomfortable. And that's okay, because the people who are truly for you will respect those boundaries and even appreciate them. A man who values you will not see your boundaries as a wall to climb over. He'll see them as proof that you value yourself enough to protect your heart. And when you value yourself, you teach him exactly how to value you too. The real power of boundaries is that they weed out the wrong ones without you having to fight, chase, or prove yourself. They naturally repel people who are looking for someone they can take advantage of, and they naturally attract those who want to treat you with the respect you deserve. It's not about playing games or making someone work for your attention. It's about living in a way that makes it clear your attention is precious and it's not available to just anyone. Men respect women who don't need constant validation because they already know who they are. And nothing communicates that faster than a woman who says, without anger or apology, "This is where my line is. If you can't honor it, you can't be here." That's not attitude. That's self-respect. And when a man sees that you respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that violates your peace, he understands he has 2 choices: step up or step aside. You don't have to fight for respect when your boundaries do the work for you. One of the fastest ways to lose respect, both from others and from yourself, is to bite your tongue every time something needs to be said. Too many people confuse silence with peace, but the truth is unspoken words have a way of turning into resentment, and resentment will slowly eat away at the foundation of any relationship. Speaking your truth isn't about being loud, dramatic, or confrontational. It's about being clear, calm, and honest about what you feel, what you need, and what you will and will not accept. A lot of women think if they speak up, they'll scare someone away, especially in the early stages of a relationship. But let's be real, If your truth scares them away, they were never strong enough to handle you in the first place. The right person won't punish you for expressing yourself. They'll lean in closer because they want to understand you better. Men respect a woman who can articulate her thoughts without turning it into a battle, who can hold her ground without losing her grace. That's power, not the kind you shout about, but the kind you carry quietly every single day. Speaking your truth doesn't mean you share every passing thought or emotion. It means you speak when it matters, and when you do, your words carry weight. You're not afraid to say, "That hurt my feelings," or "I need more consistency," or "This isn't working for me." You don't wrap your words in sugar to make them more digestible for someone who might not like the taste. You deliver them with kindness, but without watering them down. Because when you water down your truth, you water down yourself. Some people will test this. They'll interrupt you, dismiss you, or make jokes to deflect from the point you're making. And in those moments, it's tempting to drop it, to let it go so you don't make it a big deal. But here's the thing, if it's big enough for you to feel it, it's big enough to address. Your voice isn't a weapon, it's a bridge. It's how you connect, how you clarify, and how you correct situations before they turn into something much bigger. Men notice when you do this. They notice that you're not playing guessing games, that you're not expecting them to read your mind, and that you're not letting problems fester under the surface. And a man who respects you will actually appreciate the fact that you're willing to have the hard conversations because it saves both of you from misunderstandings down the road. But speaking your truth isn't just about how it affects him, it's about what it does for you. Every time you voice what matters to you, you reinforce your own self-worth. You prove to yourself that your feelings are valid, your needs are important, and your presence in any relationship is not just to make the other person comfortable. You are not here to be agreeable at the cost of your authenticity. You are here to be fully yourself, even when that self makes waves. The goal is not to win every argument. It's to make sure that your silence is never mistaken for acceptance. When you consistently speak up, you teach people how to treat you. You teach them that you are someone who can be trusted to be honest, who will say what needs to be said, even when it's uncomfortable. And trust me, a man can only respect what he understands, and he can only understand if you tell him. Your voice is not just for the moments when everything is easy. It matters most when it would be easier to stay quiet, but you choose to stand in your truth anyway. Time is the one resource you can never earn back, and how you treat it tells people exactly how much you value yourself. When you hand it out freely to anyone who asks for it, without considering how they use it, you send the message that your minutes don't matter. But when you treat your time like currency, something precious, something limited, you immediately stand out because people can see that you're intentional, that you don't spend it on just anyone, and that you know your worth well enough to protect it. The truth is, everyone wants your time. Friends, family, coworkers, romantic interests, they all have things they want from you. But here's the thing, just because they want it doesn't mean they're entitled to it. Not everyone earns the right to have your presence, your energy, or your focus. And the more you give it to people who waste it, the less you have for the ones who truly deserve it. Men respect a woman who is selective with her time because it communicates something powerful without you ever saying a word. I am not desperate for company. I am not afraid to be alone. I will only share my life with people who add value to it. That's magnetic. That's rare. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about genuinely being hard to get. Because you understand your time is your life in minutes. And when a man realizes he's not the only one competing for that time, that you have goals, commitments, and a full life outside of him, he understands that if he wants more of it, he has to earn it. Being protective of your time also means you don't rearrange your life at the last minute just because someone decided they wanted to see you. You don't drop everything to accommodate plans that were thrown at you last minute. When you already had something scheduled, whether it's work, self-care, or just rest, you honor that commitment to yourself. And by doing so, you teach others to honor it too. There will be people who try to test this. They'll see how quickly you respond, how easily you cancel your plans, how available you make yourself. And if they learn you're always available, they'll stop valuing that availability. The reality is, people respect what they have to work for and take for granted what's handed to them. When you make your time too easy to access, you unintentionally train people to treat it as less valuable. This doesn't mean you become cold or rigid. It means you become intentional. You choose who gets your energy, when they get it, and how much of it they get. You don't waste it on drama, on people who show no consistency, or on relationships that go in circles. Because every moment you spend with the wrong person is a moment you can't give to the right one. A man who is serious about you will notice that you live by this. He'll see that when you give him your time, it's because you want to, not because you need to. And that's the kind of time that means something. That's the kind of time that makes him respect you more, because he knows it's not a default privilege. It's something he earned by showing up for you in the right way. When you treat your time like gold, you naturally attract the kind of people who know how to hold it carefully. Self-respect is the foundation of how you move through the world, and the truth is, once you give that away, everything else starts to crumble. You can be beautiful, kind, and giving, but if you're willing to compromise your dignity to keep someone, they will never truly respect you. The way you carry yourself in moments of disappointment, rejection, or conflict says more about you than anything else. Men pay attention to that. They notice if you hold your head high when things don't go your way, or if you start chasing, begging, or bending your standards just to stay in their life. The mistake many people make is thinking that holding on to someone at all costs is a sign of loyalty. It's not. Loyalty means being true to your values, not abandoning them to keep a person who isn't treating you right. When you allow yourself to be mistreated, overlooked, or disrespected because you're afraid of losing someone, you've already lost something far more important. You've lost your self-respect. Keeping your self-respect doesn't mean you're cold or unfeeling. It means you have the strength to walk away from situations that no longer align with who you are, even if your heart still wants to stay. It means you refuse to beg for attention or try to convince someone to see your worth. Because the truth is, if someone can't see your value on their own, no amount of convincing will change that. And the more you try, the more you teach them that they can give you less and still keep you around. Men respect women who have the courage to say, "This is not enough for me," and mean it. They respect a woman who doesn't fall apart just because someone walked away. In fact, that strength often makes them realize what they've lost. But here's the key. You can't hold on to self-respect as a strategy to make someone come back. You hold on to it because it's yours, and it's worth more than any relationship that requires you to let it go. It's in the moments when you're tested, when you feel the pull to compromise, when you want to send that late night text, when you consider lowering your standards just to keep the connection alive, that your self-respect matters most. Anyone can act strong when everything is going well. The real test is whether you can stay true to yourself when things get hard. A man may be attracted to your looks, your personality, or your energy, but the thing that will make him respect you for the long term is knowing that you will never trade your dignity for his presence. That you have the courage to leave rather than accept less than what you deserve. That you'd rather be alone with your standards intact than with someone who chips away at them. And when you live this way, something powerful happens. You stop fearing loss. Because you know that nothing worth keeping will ever require you to lose yourself. And that freedom, that unshakable sense of self, is what makes people not just admire you, but deeply respect you. When you refuse to compromise your self-respect, You never walk away empty-handed. You walk away with your worth intact. One of the most underrated forms of strength is emotional control. It's not about never feeling anything. It's about not letting your emotions dictate your behavior in a way that you later regret. When something frustrates you, when someone disappoints you, when a situation triggers you, the easy thing to do is to react in the moment. To yell, to send a long emotional text, to slam doors or shut down completely. But here's the problem. When you let your emotions take the wheel, you give away your power. And the more power you give away, the less respect you get in return. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing how you feel. It means giving yourself the space to process before you respond. It's choosing to breathe before you speak, to think before you act. It's knowing that the first reaction your emotions want to have isn't always the one that serves you best. Because while passion can be beautiful, unchecked emotion can turn into chaos, and chaos rarely earns respect. Men notice how you handle pressure. They notice whether you can keep your composure when things don't go your way, whether you can express frustration without tearing someone down, whether you can disagree without turning it into a personal attack. That doesn't mean you let things slide. It means you address them in a way that keeps your dignity intact. There will be moments when someone will push your buttons intentionally just to see how you'll react. They might provoke you, dismiss you, or twist your words. If you explode, they'll use that reaction against you, even if they caused it. But if you remain calm, you take away their control over the situation. You're no longer playing their game, you're playing yours. Emotional control is also about recognizing when your feelings are valid but not urgent. Sometimes the best thing you can do is give yourself time to cool off before addressing an issue. You might find that what you wanted to say in the heat of the moment isn't what you truly mean. And when you come back to the conversation with clarity, you're far more likely to be heard and respected. This doesn't make you robotic or detached. In fact, it makes your emotions more powerful, because when you do express them, people know it's intentional, not impulsive. Your words carry more weight because they come from a place of choice, not loss of control. A man who sees that you can handle difficult moments with composure understands that you are not someone who can be easily manipulated. He knows that if he tries to provoke you into losing control, it won't work. And that kind of strength is magnetic, because it's rare. The real beauty of emotional control is that it shifts the power dynamic in your favor. Instead of reacting to what others do, you set the tone. You decide how the interaction goes. You decide whether a situation turns into an argument or an opportunity for understanding. And the more you practice this, the more people, especially men, begin to trust your leadership in emotional situations. At the end of the day, anyone can be calm when life is easy. But the person who stays composed when the pressure is on, that's the person who earns lasting respect. There's a huge difference between living to be liked and living by your own standards. When you build your life around trying to get someone's approval, you start bending yourself in ways that feel unnatural. You wear what you think they'll like. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You hide the parts of yourself that might not fit into their version of who you should be. And little by little, you trade away pieces of your authenticity until you hardly recognize yourself. The problem is, even if you succeed in making them like you, it's not really you they like. It's the version you performed for them. When you live by your standards, everything changes. You make decisions based on what aligns with your values, not on what will get the most applause. You choose relationships, friendships, and opportunities that match your vision for your life, not just what will keep people happy in the moment. And when someone doesn't approve of those choices, you don't crumble because your self-worth isn't tied to their opinion. That's a rare kind of freedom, and it's one that earns respect fast. Men respect a woman who is unshakable in who she is. Not in an arrogant or stubborn way, but in a grounded, self-assured way. When you have standards for how you're treated, for the kind of energy you allow into your life, And for the way you live, you're not swayed by temporary charm or empty promises. You don't lower the bar just because someone shows up with good intentions, but no follow through. You keep the bar where it belongs, and if they can't reach it, you know they're not the right fit. This isn't about being inflexible. It's about knowing the difference between compromise and self-betrayal. Compromise is meeting someone halfway without giving up what matters most to you. Self-betrayal is lowering your standards to avoid conflict or to keep someone around. The first builds respect, the second destroys it. When you operate from your own standards, you stop chasing validation. You're no longer trying to earn love by proving your worth. You're choosing relationships where your worth is already seen and valued. That's the shift. And because you're not constantly trying to please everyone, you can be honest. You can say, "That doesn't work for me," without fear. You can walk away from situations that don't align with your values, even if they're tempting in the moment. The thing is, people might not always like a woman who lives this way. Some will think you're too much, too direct, or too hard to impress. But the ones who do respect you will respect you deeply because they know you can't be swayed by flattery or pressure. They know you're not afraid to lose someone if keeping them means losing yourself. And that kind of respect lasts far longer than temporary approval. Living by your standards is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up as the same person in every room, in every relationship, no matter who's watching. It's about building a life that feels right to you, whether or not everyone understands it. And the right people, the ones who are meant to be in your life, will not only understand it, they'll admire it. When you stop trading your authenticity for acceptance, you stop needing permission to be yourself. And that's when you become truly unforgettable.